for your questions. because my host has insisted that we should have a lot of time for questions. People have questions, and she's right. And there's never time for questions, and we are always running all the time, and that's not fair to the students. So she says, no, we need time for questions. Okay? Come along. So this is the second part of it, the second part of the progressions. There is much more. The same book, Manusmriti. Get hold of a copy of Manusmriti, any decent translation. It's available online. There is a website that lists everything out. You don't even have to buy the book. You can just access this thing nowadays. It's easy. A month of men is the day and night of the Pitris. Pitris means the forefathers. A month of men is a day and night of the Pitris. A day and a night is 24 hours of the Pitris. Mains. And the division is by fortnights. Krishna Paksha, the dark fortnight, is the day of activity, while Shukla Paksha, the bright fortnight, is the night of rest. So it's a very peculiar energy they are talking about, which is exactly opposite to the sun. What is exactly opposite to the sun? It's the moon. The sun is strong in the day, the moon is strong at night. The sun is making you work. The sun is making you work. The moon is making you sleep. The sun is exhausting you, draining you. The moon is rejuvenating you, empowering you again. The sun is dragging you quickly towards death. Moon says, I will revive you. Sleep, my baby. So every day, in the daytime, we go through the grind of karma. The moon says, come, don't worry, sleep over here, take rest. And in the morning we arise again. So that is the difference between the sun and the moon. The sun is very outward. In the daytime we are leaving the house, we are going outside the house. In the night we come back like birds to our nest. So home is defined by the moon. Work is defined by the sun. And in astrology, this is the 4th house and the 10th house. Whether Western, Indian, whatever. 4th house is home, and opposite to that has to be work, because these are opposites, right? So 4th house was given to Cancer. 4th house is Cancer, which is lauded by the moon, because that's home, that's rest, that's rejuvenation. And the main activity that we do out there is said to be in the 9th house. So the 9th from the 4th becomes the 12th house. So what is the main activity we do at home? We sleep. Therefore sleeping is in the 12th house. It's all derived. It's all derived. There is nothing to mug up. So we find the moon energy is very strong in the 4th house. The sun energy must be very strong in the 10th house. So we say the 4th house is right below my feet right now. At any given moment. Where is the 4th house? It's right under your feet. So who is holding you up? How come I'm standing straight? It's Mama who's holding me up. Mama holds me up. That's why she's called the Earth Mother. Earth Mother, Kali. That is Kali. She's holding me up right now. At any moment I'm able to stand or I'm able to sit because she is holding me up. She is Kali. And where is the Sky Father? 10th house. Sun is the father. He's always in the 10th house. He's always telling me to work. Work. That's Papa. He's in the... And where is the 10th house? He's there. Right above me. So right above me is the Sky Father, my father, and right below me is my Earth Mother. It's the 4th house and the 10th house. So the moon is right there, the sun is right there. We did the sun before this, 1 degree. I am progressing in my work. I am going ahead in my karmas. My karmas are manifesting 1 degree. But what about my life? What about my love? What about my home? What about my emotions? What about all that? Am I just born to work and go? Then buy a computer. You don't need me. I also need to have food, I need to play, I need to have friends, I need to have my coffee. Where does all that come? That comes from this shloka, which is the... And this shloka says, the mains, the forefathers. Why do forefathers come into the picture? Because there is a progression in the learning. My father ate rice. So rice is something I can eat. My mother made dal. So you see, there are certain food habits that have been coming from the centuries. The way a food is cooked, the way we sing our songs, the festivals that we have, that is all the mains. What are mains? What are forefathers? They have to do with my culture. I don't have the culture of the gods. I have the culture of the human beings. So my culture is not coming from the sun. My culture is coming from the moon. That is something which is so important and critical for human life. It's all about social. And how do I see changes in my social life? For that I got to see the progression of the moon. He says the amount the moon travels in one day, because the Pitris is the moon, the mains, is equal to 1 month of human life. And if I were to give you a rough calculation, there are 27 constellations or 28 constellations. Let's say 28 constellations. And I were to go through each of these 28 constellations in one per day. Okay, one. So how many months do I have before the moon comes back to its position?
28.
28 months. And how many lunar months make a year?
13.
Right. And is it 13 plus 13 or is it 12 plus 13? I mean, what is the connection between lunar months and solar months?
13 lunar months fit into 12 solar months.
How many lunar months are there in, let us say, 3 years? You see, there is a connections over there. All kinds of equations come up. That is called Panchangam, Vedic time, to understand how to fit lunar months and solar months. There's a whole gear. These two gears have to click somewhere. So we use a lunar calendar and we also use a solar calendar, and the clicking of the two is the solely lunar calendar or luni-solar calendar, which one dominates. If the lunar calendar dominates, then perhaps you are from the region like me. I mean, solar dominates, you are from Punjab or Orissa. We have a certain method. And then Bengal and many parts of India have another method. So there are subtle differences in these calendars. Very subtle differences. But fact remains that the moon is not listening to the sun. He is going on his own way. And a simple way of checking this is, I say that human beings change every 27 years. Okay? Every 27 years we have a fresh insight. So can I say that every month I can take my natal moon and go forward by 1 month? And I will use what I call the calendar months. So in how many years? 27 months, 24 plus 3. Right? So 2 years, 3 months, I finish one cycle. 2 years, 3 months, I finish one cycle. I have matured. So every 2 years, 3 months, I have one maturity. Get the idea? Every 27 months, because this is month. Though I am just leaving this thing open for you to go back and study that, hey, this 2 years, 3 months is a peculiar thing. Because the concept of happiness and sorrow is associated with the social life. It is not associated with work. How many of you even remember when you last got a bonus from the company? Or last time I got a bonus, or maybe the year before that, did they give you a bonus? How about the year before that? You got a letter from the company, do you remember? Who cares? I mean, how much do you remember out there? But my husband shouted at me, he used that language on that particular day. Right? It doesn't go from here. I know what I'm talking about. Because the moon is here, Chandra Mandala. You cannot forget. So this is important. The social life is important, and it goes through these cycles. Every 27 months there is a click, there is a progression. So there is a bigger moon, which is called the maturity moon, which is moving forward every 27 months. So can I have two moons? One I call the blue moon, and one I call the white moon. And the blue moon is Saturn, and the white moon is the moon. So the blue moon is going forward every month, one, and 27 months it goes down the zodiac. And these 27 months are nothing but 27 nakshatra. So by the time the moon goes around and finishes 27 nakshatra in 27 months, the Saturn changes one sign. The blue moon is Saturn. It changes one sign. And Saturn does change a sign in about 2 years, 3 months, isn't it?
Yeah, 2.5 years.
Roughly. 2 years, 3
yeah.
months, 2 years, 4 months.
Yeah.
How interesting. So the moon and Saturn are such close connections. Mm-hmm. You can therefore use what is called a moon progression and a Saturn progression simultaneously in your birth chart without bothering to see something called Gochar. Just do this. And you will exactly get the years or the months where you have had emotional strain. Did you know in ancient days when there were no artificial lighting, all women in a village would have the monthly periods exactly on the same date. Exactly on the same date. All of them. And it would be roughly for about 4 days, and on the 5th day they will cleanse. All of them. This is too much.
That still happens now.
It happens now?
Yeah.
I grew up in a house with 6 sisters and my mother, and they all came on at the same time.
But you had lights.
He survived.
Normally these lights are a disturbance to the biological system. Learn to put your lights off by 9 if you want your biological system to work properly. I'll leave you with that so that there is a lot of food for you to go back and think. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Strange. So there was a system in which men had to cook. That's why Bhima was a great cook. Okay, so now I'm open to
Yes.
what is it?
We have any questions? I know there are some Western astrologers here, so they may want to. Yeah, Kieran.
Questions?
No?
Well, yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
I know this is I don't know enough about Vedic astrology, but I know that there's a bone contention about sidereal and tropical.
Tropical, yeah.
And I believe recently that Glenn Perry did a lecture in India, and that was considered quite controversial because he maintained that the tropical is the primary system. I don't think he had studied Vedic astrology sufficiently.
So you probably would have ended up in a lot of controversy.
And Glenn Perry, just to give you a background, he was in India where he made at a conference, the Krishnamurti conference, where he made that statement, and in his presentation.
That's the Calcutta conference.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and so essentially, I think he was in a lot of hot water because I don't think he had done possibly enough research.
Because in one statement he completely destroyed the main conference that he had attended.
Yes.
The entire Krishnamurti Padati is based upon the sidereal zodiac where the entire 120 degrees that we talked about, you have a nakshatra, and nakshatra is ruled by one planet, that is the dasha. So taking the length of the dashas and the other dashas, if the sun is 60 years and all, so you have, you can further subdivide them. So you have what they call the sub periods. So a nakshatra can have different. So the whole thing is based upon just one Vimshottari dasha. The whole KP system. KP is Krishnamurti.
Yeah.
He was a civil servant in the Tamil Nadu government, my senior, and he made some astounding predictions about Colombo. So Jayavardhana used to consult him. I know a lot about KP. I've studied all the original books. It's a very interesting, and it is a good system. It does work because it's based upon the nadis. But to say that the tropicals, to go into a KP conference, which is absolutely hardcore sidereal. Hardcore sidereal means they are not even willing to look like this. Okay? And on top of that, they are not even willing to hear about someone. Like if I had to talk progression out there, they would probably eat me alive. So to say that is bound to create controversy and all that stuff. But then I like people who have the courage to say what they believe. The point here is, let us understand, there are two zodiacs. Firstly, is a zodiac there or not? Is it a figment of somebody's imagination? No, there are two zodiacs. That is my first statement. The two zodiacs are called in English tropical and sidereal. Translated into Sanskrit, tropical is based upon Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, seasons. Seasons.
Yes,
Or shall I call it a seasonal zodiac?
that's right.
Because it shows the seasons. Sidereal means nakshatras, the stars in the sky. You say Chitra, Spika, a certain particular star you take, and you come back exactly over there one day. Exactly when Spika is exactly overhead one day, that's a sidereal day. So I have a sidereal zodiac based upon the constellations in the sky. There, Earth is only a part of the universe. So what is the background? The background, the universe with all its constellations, is the fixed background. In that fixed background, we are only a part, and we are geocentric or heliocentric depending upon what is a viewpoint. So I can have a sidereal chart which is heliocentric, I can have a sidereal chart which is geocentric also. But let's not get there, we'll just use the geocentric chart. So this chart has to be fixed because the background, the backdrop is fixed. There are, if you see the night sky, in the night sky, when you look up, what do you see? Can you see the signs? You can't see the signs. There are no signs in the night sky. If somebody were to tell me, can you show me the 0 degrees Aries to 30 degrees Aries? You'll be struggling. Because in the night sky, you really can't see the signs. You can see the constellations. So, from the constellations, I am deriving the signs. That is one method of making the zodiac. I am deriving. So first I derive the 27 constellations. And then from the 27 constellations, I take 2 full constellations and a quarter. 2 and a quarter. Remember? How many months were there? 23 months, right? That we talked about. That's how much? 12 plus 12 plus 3. 27 is how much? 12 plus 12 plus 3. And 3 is how much of 12? A quarter. It's a quarter. So full plus quarter. That's what I did, right? Now look at the sky and take a full plus 1 quarter. 1 pada. That's a Rashi. That's a sign. So from the constellations, I did 1 plus 1 plus a quarter to get one sign. And where do I get that formula of 1 plus 1 plus quarter? I get it from here. This is the root to the derivation. Why am I taking 1 plus 1 plus quarter? Come here, fine. So that is the derivation of the signs from the constellations. But since the constellations are fixed, the signs have to be fixed. There's no other way. Take it the other way. I'm in the daytime. I'm awake in the daytime. And I'm required to make a zodiac. Now here, my zodiac is going to be based upon the seasons. Is it summer? Is it winter? Is it... So one of the ways is to find out the length of the day. How many times did I have to turn that box of sand? You've seen the sand dial? How many times did I have to turn it? If I turned it exactly 12 times, that means the day is exact and the night is equal. Day 12 turns, night 12 turns. Perfect. But if the day was turned 13 times, that means the day is longer. How many times did I have to turn that box of sand? So based upon the length of the day and the length of the night, I have 2 points where the night and day are exactly equal. I define that as the beginning of Aries and Libra. Am I right on that or wrong on that?
Yeah.
And then, pardon?
In principle.
Yeah.
In principle.
In
principle. And then the longest I keep to the north, longest day. I keep the sun must be totally on the north for me to have the longest day, and totally on the south for me to have the shortest day. So on the basis of the length of the day, I have a cross called the Grand Cross. We call it Kendras. These 4 are the mouths of Brahma, from which he is speaking the Vedas early morning. And depending upon where the sun is rising in the Grand Cross, that particular Veda is strong. So the whole thing is stemming from day chart, where the signs are fixed on the basis of the rising of the sun and the length of the day. And that is going to vary on the seasons. So that is a tropical chart because it's a seasonal chart. It depends upon the seasons. Now to say which is right. What did they do historically? What did the mighty Parashara do? He wrote in a book called Vishnu Puran. Now, by the way, Vishnu Puran by Oxford and in Cambridge and all the universities in India, that is considered the most authentic Puran. That means every shloka out there is absolutely authentic. It is proved to be a fully authentic document. It has been timed and all that stuff. He says in that there are 2 zodiacs. Nirnaya Chakra, Sayana Chakra. So there is a zodiac which is the sidereal called the Nirnaya. And there is a zodiac called the Sayana or the tropical. Both are used for different purposes. Nirnaya is required for souls. Sayana is required for bodies. The whole problem arises with human beings. Are we souls or are we bodies? Once we figure that out, then we know which one to use. If you believe in that you are a soul having a spiritual existence, having a material existence, then the spirit is above the body. If the spirit is above the body, you are bound to use the sidereal. We believe we are spirit beings who have come from the stars, and after death we will go back to the stars. But if you believe that we are material beings who have been empowered because of a biological creation, then we are seasonal. We are here for a few seasons, like maybe you will see 70 seasons and then you will die. 70 times I shall see the ripening of the mangoes and then I'm gone. 70 years life. Right. So there the body becomes primary. The mind is dualistic. It can fit anywhere, here and there, by whatever argument. So both are equally right. Question is, what astrology are you following? So what is the big fight about? I think it's such a waste of time. It's such a waste of time. You need the tropical zodiac, or what they call the Sayana Chakra, to make accurate predictions about everything that is material, like agriculture. When should the first sowing of seeds happen? When will the first rains happen? How long will the rains be? When entire material? How are the markets going to be? Absolutely, you need the Sayana Chakra. For souls, when will he die? What experiences I will have? When should I marry? Use the Nirnaya Chakra. A smart guy will use both. Like Parashara. The problem is, with the advancement of Kali Yuga, our height is becoming smaller and our brains are becoming smaller. So we are fighting, I'll do this. Why can't you do both? Prevent. You are not a pygmy. You are not going to become a Lilliput. I will use both the zodiacs. Make up your mind. Okay? Does it clarify?
There's a question.
Sure.
Yeah, no.
No. Yeah, big loss. You're teaching this topic that you said the moon and sun are separate from each other. So, and when you draw the actual the zodiacs, the moon is given the fourth house. Why is the sun given the fifth house? Because that's affected the sun.
Because the Kendras and Trikonas. Moon lords the Kendras and the sun lords the trines. The 120 degrees are the trines. 90 degrees are the quadrants. Moon is not interested in trines. Moon is interested in quadrants. That's why the moon only works the quadrants. The 5th and 9th houses from the moon, it hates. Moon hates to go to school. If you are a moon dominant person, you hate going to school, you hate going to office, you hate the regulations, you hate those laws made by the office. HR is the worst department that could have existed. And your boss is a horrible guy because he wears dark suit and dark sunglasses. That's a moon person, right? You're highly emotional about all this stuff.
How will you find out what kind of person we are?
I would use a sidereal zodiac and to see the degrees of the ascendant. For example, your sun is in 13 degrees of the zodiac. I didn't know sidereal or tropical. Sidereal?
Yeah, no.
Well,
What day will you born?
What's your date of birth?
13
What day
degrees
do you
in Virgo is my sign.
30 degrees Virgo. 13 Virgo.
Yes.
So it'll be in Leo.
It'll be
About
19 Leo, yeah.
About 19 Leo. Right, so I can straightway say that her sun, her soul, is in the second half of Leo, which is a very lunar half. Right. She votes liberal.
And, according to Western Astrology, my moon is in Scorpio.
I didn't talk of moon, I was talking of the sun only.
Oh.
The sun is in a lunar area of the
Oh,
zodiac.
okay.
See, every sign has a day half and a night half. So the Leo, for example, would have the first 15 degrees day and the next 15 degrees night. Virgo would have first 15 degrees night and the second 15 degrees day. So every sign has a day and a night.
So my sun is in night.
Is a night area. So sun is a night area. So you are in the night. There is no sun. There is actually moon.
There is no point, no meaning of what time you've been born.
Yeah, that is the next stage. Yeah. I cannot teach the whole astrology now. But it's a good idea that what I'm trying to show you is that each of these planets is strong or weak as far as the day energy or the night energy is concerned. So maybe some of these stars, planets, are stronger at night and some of them are stronger with day energies.
Because I'm born at 9 p.m.
PM, right? So
Probably
your sun is
for
probably
sunsets.
probably your sun is in the 5th house in them, right? So probably in the Western system you would be a Gemini rising.
No, Taurus.
Taurus or Gemini. Yeah, it will be Taurus because it is Virgo. Your sun is a Virgo. You said
so, yeah.
5th house sun. You said 9 p.m. I'm sorry, those of you who don't get it. I calculate the ascendant in a slightly different way. Yeah, 5th house sun. Correct. Very intelligent. You must have topped all your classes.
4 or 5 planets that I have in 5th house according to Western astrology.
Yeah, so according to Indian, we have to check how many are there to find out which are in the 5th and which are in the 4th. But that will just show how much of knowledge you have, which shows that you love knowledge, you respect knowledge, you don't have an ego about it, and you are willing to learn every kind. The larger number, the sun in the 5th house is guaranteeing somebody who is a seeker, a true seeker. The moment somebody, so I can say blindly, roughly, people born around about 9 p.m. will have the sun in the 5th. So people born around about 9 p.m. are seekers. Because that is said to be the border of Durga and Kali.
It is in completely new terminology for me.
Yes.
But I'm very interested.
So based upon the time people are born, we get an idea of how their minds work.
That seems to match what they call sect theory, which is the nocturnal and diurnal. They're not,
That is the whole
upper
concept
chart
of...
and the lower chart, which are determining your born.
Yeah,
They
totally.
say that links into your Saturn return.
Totally.
Could you have a
People who are born in the night are less affected by Saturn returns than people who are born in the day.
is it not the other way around?
It's both.
Pardon?
But I need to check that.
Yeah, but when we say affected, we need to be clear what is being affected here. People who are born in the day are more affected in the work and maybe less affected in the body, in the Saturn return. Here people in the night born are more affected physically than at work. It's a very interesting dividing. See, work and home I am dividing everything and seeing what is Saturn return and what is Saturn opposition. So Saturn opposition is exactly opposite energy of Saturn return. You see that? That's how we look at it. Because then Saturn has gone to opposite. And Saturn is like a higher octave of the moon.
Yeah.
Because the more you think, you become gloomy. So the moon, going in cycles, will end up sorrowful.
So if it's in the night part of the chart, is that?
That shows that the likelihood of a Saturn return is going to hit you more physically than at work. Whereas the Saturn opposition will hit you more at work than it will hit you physically. Just rough. Yeah. I'm just trying to show you my idea of what I think progressions are. Because I did play around with this a hell of a lot. So my Gurudev kept on saying, why do you keep doing this thing? Study the dasha, degrees. I was interested in the math. I was very interested in math. So, okay.
Anyone, any questions? No. I have one.
You know, I was going to say
You
that.
mentioned about the tropical zodiac being season-based, right?
Right.
What about how does one explain Australia and the southern hemisphere and the northern? They have different seasons, but they still are using the same zodiac.
No.
tropical
Mathematically, I think somebody else will explain it to you. People like him who are superb in math. I could make that out. No, you're good. You understood. See, math is something that requires a visual. You got to visualize the math, and then you can do the math. So it's very easy. It's southern hemisphere, northern hemisphere is just. See, you have long days when the sun is in Capricorn, Cancer, and long nights when it is in Capricorn. In the southern hemispheres, it is reversed.
Yeah.
So you can see that the sun would be very strong in Capricorn, and because longer daytime, and very weak in Cancer in the southern hemisphere. So normally, if I use this for advising people. Sometimes somebody would ask me, "Do you think it would be a good idea for me to migrate to Australia?" I use this knowledge. Maybe if you have the sun in Capricorn, maybe by going to, let's say, to Australia, you have more sunlight in your life. Maybe that means more finances, better finances. If on the other hand, sun is in Cancer, northern hemispheres are better for you. So, if I were to take from Cancer to Capricorn and divide it like this, I can get latitudes, isn't it? Just wanted to be clear.
Any more questions?
Sanjay, looking at the Navamsha and the progressed sun, I mean, I use it for timing of marriage for people.
Yeah, till now we all use it for timing marriage. I just showed you how I timed it.
Yeah. So if it's, I mean, clearly you use the progressed sun, so if it's aspecting, say, the 10th Lord, would that indicate a career change or something of that nature if there was a 10th Lord?
What is Mercury?
Or Mercury?
Mercury is where the green dollar comes.
Yeah. Well, for marriage,
marriage, I'm looking at the 7th house and I'm looking at Venus. Venus is
Venus
love.
for relationships.
Yeah. Venus is love and the 7th house is marriage. Yeah. So maybe the marriage is happening before love or marriage is happening, those things are different, but 7th house is different. A sign aspect, Rashi Drishti, guarantees the marriage. Without that you don't marry in that year. That's how I correct the chart, timings, you know. Roughly 10 minutes plus or minus, I can straight it. And once I correct it on the basis of marriage, I can progress it later for death also.
I think the I use that for rectification.
Oh, you have to. How else do we rectify it? It's easy. Absolutely easy to rectify a chart. It's kids' play. People make such a big deal about it. Sorry. It's very easy to rectify a chart. Normally every reading I do, it's built in. I'm automatic. Why would you do a reading if you didn't make this effort to rectify a chart? How do you know the person you're talking to is the same person in the chart? Make that effort. It's worth it. There's no point doing readings without making that effort. Yeah.
The first thing I do.
Yeah. So you use that Navamsha technique all the time, isn't it? Once you learn the transit of the sun, this yearly transit of the sun, which we call Chakra Dashas or whatever, it will become a part of you. You cannot let go. It is so easy. And it works all the time.
Well, I mentioned it in the Dutch article that we wrote.
Thank you very much, everybody. Hope to see you again next year.